And we're going to start the stream. Hey everyone, we're going to start our stream right now. And we are ready. Hi everyone, welcome to the show. This is eLearnChat, where it's all about learning. Today we've got a great show and, of course, our great guest, our co-host. I will introduce her in a moment. Here we go.
This show is sponsored by Relate Corporation. Visit us at www.relatecasts.net. Thanks.
So we are back. We've got a little bit of a problem with our controllers, so we're going to be switching kind of between 1, 2, and 3 rather than have people where they normally would be. So I am joined today by Dr. Susan Nash. Hi, Susan.
Hello. I'm so excited. We have a returning guest, Dr. Spencer Stryker. And as you might recall, he was a guest before with History Adventures. And it's an immersive history learning experience where people can role play at pivotal moments in time and be a person who is kind of looking at history as it's unfolding. And they have a new series, and it's called Plague of Athens. And it's all about pandemics. And so really looking forward to talking to Spencer about how that works.
And all this time I thought the Plague of Athens was the Spartans, but that's a whole other issue. Anyway, Spencer, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Yeah, as you know, I'm here in Philippines actually doing this interview. So
yeah, he's taking a vacation to the Philippines and joining us. Thank you so much for taking time out of your vacation.
Of course.
We appreciate it.
Now, normally here, yeah.
And normally you teach at Northwestern University in Qatar.
I do. Yes, I do. I'm associate professor of digital media design there.
That's really cool. I remember when you were on the first time, you were getting this project. You had some stuff going, but it was getting off the ground and really starting to expand. How's that been going for you as far as the expansion and the stuff that you've added? I think it's been, about a couple of years, maybe even 3 since you've been on.
Yes, exactly. And thank you guys so much for covering the launch of History Adventures. I think it was in March of 2020 or
2020. Okay.
Like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was pretty much soon after the pandemic hit, as I recall. And you were one of the first media outlets to cover the launch of the original History Adventures product, and I really appreciate that. That one was called Revolutions and Industrialization, and that was that product is still out there. The original one we launched, covering the period 1750 to 1900, and we built that specifically for Apple Books Interactive. All of the products I'm referencing you can find on the website at historyadventures.co, and then on there are links to all the products I'm referencing. But yeah, that was the one March of 2020 that we had the interview, and I had just launched that one. Since then, I actually then went on and launched quite a few other ones in the same series, and I've launched Empires and Interconnections, which covers the period from 1450 to 1750, and then this one, again, they all have the same theme, which is that I try to combine sort of narrative and the concept of kind of digital storytelling and narrative as a history from the perspective of people, of lived experience with people in history, but then interweaving that with all kinds of different interactive learning features and animation and sound effects and stuff like that, to just, in a way, at a highest level, it's about trying to create a sort of next generation history textbook, perhaps.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. And by the way, if you're hearing roosters and chickens in the background, it's about 6 a.m. his time. So they're out. They're announcing the day.
They really are. Yeah, just the just broke. I guess you'd say the dawn broke here. It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous here. What I'm seeing there is like people are walking way out into the break, and so people are chasing their roosters around.
That's right. It looks like a beautiful area. He was showing us a little bit of the ocean. Absolutely gorgeous around there.
Yes, it is. Well, it's called Bolinao,
Bolanao.
Philippines. It's about a 6 hour drive from Manila, and it's beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. Susan?
Well, I'm so excited about the way that you do the learning in the history adventures. I think that that type of experiential learning is really amazing and it's effective. And what it means is that you, as people role play, they actually solve a problem. And I like the way that you have a mystery included in the Plague of Athens. Could you tell us about it a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much again for that. Yes, that's the whole concept. So when education professionals like yourself they appreciate it, then that means the world to me and the team that made it. Um, but so the new product is called Global Pandemics. Rather, so that is, it's really just another kind of I don't want to say spin off, but yeah, it's another kind of version of the history adventures concept. But now we obviously were inspired by COVID-19 to take an interest in pandemics, and then we got interested in, essentially in the history of pandemics, and then putting that in kind of context for students, putting COVID-19, I should say, in context for students. And I thought that was actually quite a useful exercise to do that. And then, and what we started off by basically, so long story short, we try to take the history adventures sort of formula and then apply it to global pandemics, and then also putting some enhanced features there. And then we started off by looking at uh, what were the most sort of important, I guess, devastating is maybe a better word, pandemics in human history. And then we had a kind of a short list of like 10 or 15. And then from there, we down selected it. And we wound up with the Plague of Athens. And then the next one is the Black Death or the bubonic plague in Europe. And then the next one is smallpox in the New World.
Hmm.
And then influenza or Spanish flu, which broke out in 1918, and then finally looking at HIV/AIDS in the 1980s. And we picked those as the big five. There are other candidates throughout history that could have made it into that horrible list, but that was the one that we decided to go with. There's some bad ones, but those were our big five. And then and then from there, then we started working on Plague of Athens, and so we worked on that. Really took us a year to make the thing, and we decided to build it for Chromebooks as a interactive uh, browser based experience. So we built it for the Chrome browser specifically. It's for it will work on any Chrome browser, but of course the Chrome browser is really the engine of
Mhm.
Chromebooks. So we built it for Chromebooks in that sense. And then what it is, back to your question, we look at the we essentially have a character that again that centers the student understanding of the Plague of Athens, and the character we chose is Nikos. We call him Nikos of Athens. He's like we imagine the character, but he's based on historical research. So there's that combination of sort of a little bit of creativity and imagination combined with like rigorous sort of historical research. Yeah, and then the character is a doctor. He's one of the first kind of professional physicians, in kind of world history, where the ancient Greeks, they innovated the Hippocratic Oath,
Mm.
and they had a kind of professionalized medical ethics. And so that was our idea, was to basically create this character and then put the student in the shoes, the sandals, I guess, of Nikos of Athens in 5th century BCE. And then essentially the storyline is about him having to treat a kind of wealthy senator
Mm.
during, because the Plague of Athens breaks out during the Peloponnesian War, which was a devastating war between Athens and Sparta that essentially ended the golden age of Greece. And it was a gruesome war that went on for like about 30 years. but the book by I don't know if you call it a book, but I guess it is a book, but by Thucydides, who was a historian and a general during the Peloponnesian War. He wrote the history of the Peloponnesian War, and that is a really important historical document. And in that book, he writes about the Plague of Athens. And the Plague of Athens was this horrific thing that occurred right at the beginning of the uh, uh, Peloponnesian War, but never quite went away. Like all these sort of plagues that did kind of stick around. And so we put our character, and then you can see him there in the image you're showing. That's Nikos at Athens, and you can see all the dead bodies behind him, and they're burning the bodies on a funeral pyre. And then you can see all these sort of crows in the background. The crows had this symbolic significance in ancient Greece. Um, so back to your question or your point, the storyline is that he has trying to help this wealthy senator, and he has to decide, how to help him in the midst of all this chaos and war, and basically, I don't want to ruin the story, but what we will do is we're going to pose to the student a very difficult question of medical ethics,
Hmm.
and then we want the student to have to answer the question. We give them the option to go this way or go that way.
Now, how many people were on the development team for this?
Okay, yeah. Well, all in all, for History Adventures, if you go to historyadventures.co/credits, I have all the credits for all the products we've made so far, including the ports and everything. And there are like a lot of people. It's like over 100 people or
Hmm.
something from all over the world. Um, for global pandemics, or rather for Plague of Athens specifically, the team is probably about 20 people
Okay.
for this particular product. And I can tell you what they all did. Like, we have basically an engineering team. It's very talented, called Digital Pomegranate, and they're based in Armenia and in New York,
Hmm.
uh, and they're fantastic. And we use a tool called Flutter, which is a new kind of development tool from Google, and we use Flutter uh, as our development platform. And then, as far as the other folks involved, we have really talented animators, illustrators, UI designers, producers, QA. So it's a really great team. Probably closer to 30 people made Plague of Athens.
That's great. Now, Flutter, is that a fairly new tool?
It is quite new. It's a cross-platform development tool from Google, and it's meant to. There's this elusive concept in modern development of building once that it will run on all platforms,
I know. Yeah.
right? Because the big challenge right now when you're building anything is how many different platforms there are.
Hmm.
You're talking about mobile, tablet, browser, and then even within that, you've got different browsers, different mobile. You've got iOS, you've got Android, and you've even got other things, Windows and so on. And then, so that is the big challenge in modern development is because you don't want to have to make the product 5 times, right, for
Right.
every single OS and screen size. So Flutter is one of the newest entries in that game, if you will, of cross-platform development.
Hmm.
And they're really, it's operated by Google, so they're really really good. And the team we worked with, they're excellent, Digital Pomegranate. But at the same time, it's still not perfect. In my experience of doing this now, and I've been doing this for quite some time now, it never quite works. It never works as well as promised, and no one has cracked that nut yet of cross-platform development, where you're going to develop it once and then it's going to work
Well,
everywhere. I've never seen it really
Yep.
work, actually.
in theory, you could use sort of new data architectures to create a responsive interface that everything would go through like an AI or just an algorithm that would convert
Mm,
instant. But I mean, I know that they tried that with like Moodle, but there it's just like you're saying, doesn't always work.
it doesn't always work. Yeah, there's a lot of great ideas out there, but yes, in theory, that's exactly right. It's got to. responsive design would essentially mean that it will dynamically, you know,
Yes.
resize, relay out to the platform, to
Yeah.
the browser. Hmm.
Well, it can be really slow, but at any rate, at least it works. I'm so intrigued by the name of the design developers of the because it made me think of the famous Armenian film, The Color of Pomegranates,
Oh,
by
okay.
yeah, I think it was an avant-garde film by Sergei Parajanov,
Hmm.
and he was Armenian, but he was definitely persecuted for this gorgeous film, just for his ideas, etc.
Ah,
That's it. You may,
fascinating. Well,
yeah.
now, sorry, now that you mentioned that, I'm sure that that is where the name pomegranate came from. I did not, I never put that together until you said that.
Well, it's stunning, and it was incredibly influential. It was like avant-garde during the 1960s. So some of the
Mm.
special effects look a little bit primitive, but it was set, and it's perfect for what you're talking about, the historical thing, because he's based it on a medieval poem.
Nope. I think we. Spencer, you there? Spencer? Spencer? Susan? That's cute. Well, I think we're still running. Hold on. Yep, we're still streaming and recording. We lost both of them. Hopefully, they'll come right back in. I don't know what happened. Everything looks connected still. Let's see if we get Susie back. Okay, sorry about that. We are not ready to quit the show yet. All right, so Susan is not in right now. Spencer was lost. You know, folks, this is called live shows. Normally, this doesn't happen, but the internet can be a
Oh,
fickle. Oh, there we go. You're back.
yeah, I'm back. I touched the browser. I apologize. It's
No, it was
probably
weird.
me.
Both of you disappeared at the same time.
Well, I thought it died or froze, so I logged out and logged back in.
Oh, good. I heard a little click, and both of you were gone. I went, "Hello, hi everyone. This is a live show. This happens." Um, anyway, sorry about that. Now, you in the beginning of the show or pre-show, you mentioned that you were going to show some of the stuff, or either screenshots or something else, on your iPad.
Sure, I'd be happy to do so. Yeah, and yeah, for your viewers to see the to experience the full product, it's pandemics.historyadventures.app, and there you can go through all of Plague of Athens. But for our show here, I can just show some screenshots. And this feature here, you're seeing here, this is screenshots from the product, which is at historyadventures.co/pandemics or global pandemics, one or the other. And this is the timeline of main events where you can see basically we have this a timeline, interactive timeline of the product, and you can go through kind of the main highlights of the. It's all animated and so on, and it's
Hmm.
like the highlights of the history of basically Golden Age Greece. Um,
Now, just for the record, are these free?
yes, all of the History Adventures products I made are free.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, we put it all out there for free. I'm a professor at
Huh.
Northwestern Qatar, so that's my day job, and so this is my faculty work, and I
No, that's
haven't.
great. That's great because that's a lot of great content, and for free, you can't beat the
Yeah.
price. And plus the
Oh,
education people get from that. As you know, there's not a lot of history taught in high schools or elementary schools that much anymore. And as a result, most people don't have a clue what's going on out there, what happened before, how we got here. It just sort of
Right.
is. And unfortunately, every time we do that, who was it? Toynbee? History just repeats itself over, and it's cyclical, repeats itself. And as a result, we keep repeating itself, the same mistakes over and over and over again. We don't learn from history. So these kind of tools are just a wonderful asset to give people perspective, and education, for that matter. So that's, well, You
Couldn't
know,
agree more. I
I don't
couldn't agree
represent
more.
anybody, but thank you. I think that's great.
I do too,
And
just
this
for the
is,
record.
oh,
Yeah,
thank you
just for,
so
oh,
much.
please
Yeah.
describe. Yeah, let's look at
This
the,
one, by
yeah,
the way, this one in particular, this feature is we call basically. And by the way, as I mentioned, we're making next we're making Black Death, and then we're making smallpox. So the
Hmm.
feature you see here that we built for Plague of Athens, we're going to sort of repeat. It's a repeat this feature, but what we have is we call him like the engineer. It's kind of like a interactive Grey's Anatomy thing where it's like
Mm.
you've got this sort of generic human, and then you can interact. You can click on all different parts of his body, and then you're going to get information about the symptoms. And part of this is, kind of a Gray's Anatomy kind of
Mm-hmm.
concept, and another part of it is getting the student to think like a historical, like a historian, or like an epidemiologist, some combination, because what's quite interesting about the Plague of Athens is that people don't know to this day. They're not sure what it was. So you're trying to
Hmm.
piece together the symptoms from the historical record, and then trying to say, okay, well, what are these symptoms? What is the most likely suspect? So if you click on his chest, you click on his head, you click on his hands, and then we get a kind of a description of the symptoms, which come to us mostly from Thucydides in the history of the Peloponnesian War, but in
Hmm.
other sources as well, and archaeological records. And we're basically just trying to figure out what the heck happened here. And then I'll skip ahead to the part where I show. Yeah, so here then we have this feature we call "What Was It?" And then again we want the student to think it through. You've I'm trying to put this up so you can see, but basically we have these nice 3D models. See, I'm putting it the wrong way. There it is. Okay, yeah, those nice 3D models you see there, and basically each one of these 3D models, and they're all animated, are representing one of the likely suspects, and they
Hmm.
are smallpox, uh, Yersinia pestis, which is the bubonic plague, which is a bacteria, Ebola, typhus, and typhoid. So that's Ebola. That's Ebola. That's typhus. That's typhoid, smallpox, and bubonic plague. Those are the five primary suspects. And so, yeah, so anyway, this is an interactive feature within the product to go through and read up on those. And this is the map. So we kind of took this concept again from it's kind of a video game concept
Hmm.
to have a sort of a map that the student can navigate. But this, at a high level, is the walkthrough of the entire product for Plague of Athens.
Cool. Now, how long
I
did it
love it.
take? How long did it take your team to create all this? Obviously, a lot of work, a lot of writing went into this, a lot of graphics and
Yeah.
media. How long did it
Mm.
take?
It took a year. It took a
A
year.
year.
It took a year to make Plague of Athens. But yeah, but to your point there, it's like different stages of development. So
Mm-hmm.
in the sort of pre-production, I guess we were trying to just figure out. Well, first we had to figure out what plagues we're going to cover. Then once we decided, then we have to learn everything we can about the Plague of Athens,
Right.
and then that's where we have historians who are helping us build the curricular content. Then we have a really great narrative designer that we brought on to help us write the
Mm,
story.
great.
Her name is Olivia Rios, and she's actually works in California. And
Hmm.
she's worked at Disney Interactive. Right now, she works at another mobile game company, and she's a professional narrative designer. And she helped us develop and write the story of Nikos. So we do all of that. Then we're going to bring on the artists, and then the animators, and then the development team, and uh, the whole process took 1 year to get it done.
That's great. A lot of work. Well, Spencer, we
It's
are.
a rewarding journey,
Yeah. This.
difficult
Well,
but
what
rewarding journey.
totally, I think that that points to the fact that there's a lot of leadership and project management in
Mm-hmm.
development of any kind of courses. I'm sorry, there's so much
True.
reflection in glasses. Anyway,
No, it's not too bad. Uh, But to your point, I think you're completely correct. Yeah, the hardest part, I'm building the thing. I'm running it from Doha, Qatar, and I'm using this international team,
Hmm.
and we're doing everything remotely, and we're using Zoom, and we're using Google Drive, and we're using all these different platforms and techniques. And but yeah, you're correct. It's really all about organization,
Hmm.
producing, and project management is hugely important in the process.
That's great. Well, Spencer, we are out of time. We're glad you could make it today and share this. I think what you guys are doing is wonderful, and we will put links. So if you're watching the show, please take a look at the show description below. There'll be links to get to the website and take the courses and enjoy them and learn something. I think you'll have a good time. And Spencer, definitely keep in touch with us. We'd love to see what you guys are doing and how you're doing it. And I can't think of anything better to say than, wow, you guys are amazing. And Susan, would you like to wrap up?
Sure. Well, so thank you very much. And for the audience, I'd like to encourage you to go to the show notes because we'll have links to an interview with Spencer, and it's on a blog, eLearning Corgi. And also, there are links to demos and the Mystery Adventures sites and global pandemics. So we're really privileged, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you so much, Rick. Really
Oh,
appreciate you guys covering your adventures.
more than welcome. Love what you're doing. So good to see you
Thank you so
again.
much.
Enjoy the rest of the vacation, and enjoy the madness of the FIFA World Cup when it hits Qatar. That should be fun.
That should be pretty fun. Should be pretty
It
crazy.
should be. It should be fun. All right, folks. We'll see you probably in a. We may see you not next week, but the week after. I think that'll be our last show for 2 to 3 weeks. We're relocating offices again. We're actually going to a different state, so that will happen shortly. We'll keep you posted, and we'll see everyone in a very short time. Have a good one. Thanks, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.